Michael, I thought we could start like, with some easy questions. And then if you're okay with that, we can try to go for a little deep talk.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So first of all, since this is going to air around Halloween, I was wondering if you might be willing to share, like your Halloween traditions and what your plans are going to be for this Halloween when Michael Myers will be out there.
Yeah, I mean, for Halloween's always kind of been like a sentimental holiday for me. Since I was younger, I've always loved to dress up. I've dressed up as like any superhero you can name in my life. And I think for me, just my traditions are just hanging with friends. That's always been what it's about, being friends. And I may be 20 years old, but I'm still gonna go out and get some candy. It's always about that. And I think for me, it's just the times with friends, because you look back at those memories and you just like sit back and laugh. And that's always what it's been about for me. It's just my friends and my family and getting those memories together.
Right. And never lose your inner child, right?
No, never can do that.
It's so fun because I remember, of course, when I was a kid and trying, to go from door to door. And the thing is like that over here, Halloween was never really a thing. It
Right.
only really started like, let's say for like 10 years, maybe. So when my friends and I were like knocking at doors, people were like, what the fuck, what the guys are you doing here? And why are you dressed like this?
Right. No, yeah. I remember, one of the things I used to always love to do was on Halloween, when I was younger. Like I remember the first year, I was like maybe like 13 or 14. It was like the first year, like I was going trick-or-treating with my friends, and like our parents like let us do it by ourselves. And we used to like ding dong ditch everybody. And that was like kind of our thing. We used to ring the doorbell. We thought we were like we really thought we were like scaring these people. Like someone was ringing their doorbell, not there. And we just were like, you would think that we were planning the next Exorcist movie. Like we thought we were the coolest kids. Just we're inciting fear in these people. We're all in little superhero costumes doing this. And but those are the memories that I look back on. I just smile and laugh.
Oh, so awesome, man. Seriously. And also, obviously, like the previous Halloween movies already showed us that it's never a good thing to be babysitter around Halloween.
Yeah, nope.
So I was wondering, whenever you were babysitted as a kid, how did you make sure that your babysitter keeps, that you keep him alive?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was always just like I was a very wild kid. So I couldn't sit still. I had so much energy, and I think honestly, my babysitter had to worry about me staying alive on my own. Then I would do everything there is. I would be jumping up and down. I had Nerf guns. I'd be taking them out and shooting them everywhere. I had lightsaber toys. I'd be swinging them.
Ooh.
I was a wild child. So I think honestly that my babysitter had to worry about me more than Michael Myers.
So the thing that Corey did, like like saying, let's sit down and watch a movie, that will not have worked back then for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was always when the horror movie kind of came into me with my older brother. My older brother John loves horror movies, and he got me into them. And I remember when I was younger, and I'd be playing with my my action figures in my living room, and he would have Halloween or Chucky or Scream on, and I'd just be like 10 years old, like, oh, okay. This is something. And that's kind of how like the horror I got into. I kind of, as I got older, I was like, all right, then let me actually watch these movies. And then ever since then, I kind of get into it. But when the sit down in the horror movies, that was more, I would say, my brother.
Oh wow, that is so awesome, because like it's also in my case, it was also my brother that introduced me to them. And it was like I was very annoying as a child. And so when he had to babysit me, he was like, oh, you know what? Sit down. I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna leave the room. I'll keep you in the dark. You just watch it. And then he played Evil Dead, and obviously
my brother was like that as well. He was Freddy Krueger for Halloween one year, and I was about, I want to say maybe 6 or 7, and I was terrified. Like I couldn't sit next to him. Like there's a picture of me, my brother, and my uncle, and he's in the Freddy Krueger costume, and I'm like literally in tears. Like you could see that this kid is like crying, and my brother is just like smiling with the Freddy Krueger face, and like and then you look back on it, I'm just like, this is just like a funny memory to have.
So awesome. And also fun moment is like, because when we are introduced to your character Terry in the movie, who I'm sure you agree with me is an absolute sweetheart. Uh, then
I think he just misjudged. I really think it is. I think he just misjudged.
yeah, of course he is. No, but it's so fun, and the first moment we see him, he asks Corey if he can get him some alcohol from the shop, obviously because he isn't old enough.
Right,
And,
right.
you know, it totally reminded me, of my own teenage years where I asked an adult to do something for me because I wasn't old enough. I never asked somebody to buy me some alcohol, but what I wanted is like to get some movies who were rated R, obviously.
Yep, that was my go-to.
Yeah, so then I was going to ask you about it, if you remember a specific moment where you asked as well for some help.
I'll never forget. It was me and my friends wanted to go see a rated R movie, so we asked my friend's dad, "Can you buy tickets for us?"
Yeah.
So we bought the tickets, and then we go up to the theater, and we're like, "Here," and you could see that the lady takes our tickets, starts like looking around, and as soon as she's looking around, I'm just like in my head, I'm like, "Oh God, like this is not gonna go good." She's like, "Where's your parents?" And we're like, "Oh, well, our dad bought it for us. He left." And she's like, "No, absolutely not. Like, you guys are not allowed in without adults." So now we're like, "Oh my God, what do we do?" So then we had to exchange the tickets to a different movie, and then we had to sneak into that movie. And the whole movie, and there was like 20 of us. So I don't know how we did this, but it was 20 of us in a row in a movie that we took the back row on, and every time a worker came in, we all just we're like this, with our heads down, and nothing happens. Nothing. We were able to watch the movie, and then we all had to go to like. I remember we were taking turns to go to the bathroom because we didn't want all of us. So whoever one person who didn't have to go to the bathroom would go out and just be the straight lookout, would hold the door and just keep looking for the guards, and they would come in. We act like we were like doing a prison, jumping out of a prison. Like it was, but those memories were the biggest thing for me. We're like, sneaking into the rated R movies, not being able to get into them, trying to figure out whose parent can get off of work quickly and take us into these. That was what it was for us, really. Likewise.
That is so cool. I remember there was like, when I was a kid, there was like just one cinema, where I lived, and it was like a very old couple, but they were very conversative, And, one time I called them and I was like, this movie is rated 14 and I'm only 12 years old. Can I see it anyway? And then he was like, whoever pays gets in.
And I'll never forget, actually. It's funny you say. So when the movie It first came out, the remake, I was a freshman in high school, I think. It was a freshman in high school. I was a freshman in high school, and I went to go see it with my friend. And my friend was only a year older than me. So I go earlier, and I'm like, "Hey," I'm like, "Listen, I'm underage. Like, I'm not 18, but my friend is 18. It's okay if I go with him." And they're like, "No, you have to be 21 to take someone who's under 18 in with." I'm like, "All right." So me and my friends are like, we're doing this. We're trying it out. So we get in. The guy scans our ticket, says, "All right, go ahead." And then his boss sees the red pop up as it's in a rated R movie, and she's like, "No, you come back here." She's like, "I need ID," and we're like, we don't have ID. I was like, I lost my wallet. My friend's like, yeah, me too. We lost it together. And it's like, this is like the biggest load of like BS that you could ever, like, just straight lying through our teeth. And she's like, "How old are you guys?" And I'm like, I'm 18. She's like, "When's your birthday?" And I'm like I'm thinking, like, doing the math in my head. I'm like, all right, I can't do my birthday because that wouldn't make so. I was like, yeah, January of 98 or something. And I'm just like going like this with my head. I'm like, oh God. And she was like, and I think she 100% knew that these kids were not 18. And she was like, "No, just go ahead." And we walked in and we were like, oh my God, like the weight just got taken off our shoulders. And we're like, all right, let's just watch the movie now.
Right. That's so cool. But it's so funny, obviously when we were not old enough to watch these movies, we were like, we told adults, we are ready for it. It's okay. I don't know how about you, but for me, like, it changed now. For example, I've rewatched Halloween Ends yesterday, with a wide audience, and there was like, I believe 12 or 13-year-old in there, and it's like,
no, definitely. I see that a lot more as well when I go into radar films. I'm like, wow, like there's a lot of younger kids in here. I'm like, all right, I wish this era happened like 5 years ago. I wouldn't have to wait till movies came out on Netflix to see.
Right. But then I'm like, this could have been me back then, and then I'm like,
literally.
Yeah. So Michael, if you're okay, we can now move on to a little bit deep talk.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because it's so cool because, I love that. And I also chatted with Ryan Turek, your producer, about it, who, by the way, said that you guys, the Bullies, were a blast to work with.
Thank you. Yeah, likewise. He was an awesome man.
Yeah. And I mean, he really loves the fact that this movie is about, how evil can infect. And
Mhm.
it's something that we see with your character as well, because his father like hates
Yeah.
him, as Corey knows, and your character kind of takes that hate and puts it on Corey, and
Right.
so on. And it kind of reminded me also like um of school years, like there will be like one bully who bullies another person, and
Right.
then that person starts to bully
Mhm.
another person,
Yeah.
and so on. So like the evil nature of just one person might be able to infect like half of
Mhm.
the school.
Right.
And
No.
so I was wondering, because obviously we always meet good people and people with bad intentions in our lives. So whenever you were surrounded or met people who were like more of an evil force in a way, how did you make sure that you don't allow their evil side to infect you in any way, or to, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it definitely it comes from me. I'm I would say very like strong-minded and confident person in myself, and that comes from like my support that I have. I have two parents who have always, supported me and boosted my confidence and gave me great self-esteem, and my brothers as well. And I always surrounded myself, I felt, with people who I just felt got me. And I think, you
Yeah.
know, I always was, and I learned from my father and my mother and my older brothers, like never let someone talk down to you, or let ever someone change who you are. And I think that kind of just boosted me as a kid. Listen, I there, in high school or in middle school, everyone deals with those people who, just need to get put in their place. And I
Yeah.
think for me, it was kind of just like knowing to avoid them. And then if they, come to me, then that's something for me to handle. But I'm not going to go out of my way and worry about those people. I'll deal with that if it comes. And I was fortunate enough to meet a lot of friends through my family, through my parents, who, like, they're best friends that they grow up with. So I had a foundation of friends. And whenever we went into, we spent a lot of time in school together. So I think for me, it was always just about really kind of believing in myself and trusting myself, and knowing that, like, whatever these people say, just don't let it affect me. Like, anyone, I think, who bullied, and I think this is what's so interesting about Terry, is that anyone who I think is a bully is bullying because of his own insecurity.
Yeah.
And that's what Terry is. Terry is bullying because of his insecurity with his father. His father treats him very harshly, physically and verbally. And I think that is why he's the way he is. So I think for me, as a human and as a person, it's just, you can't let that stuff affect you. You have to, and let it, there's certain times where you have to really stand up for yourself and really, like, trust yourself and believe in yourself. But for me, it was kind of always like, I'm not going to let that stuff get to me. If it gets to a point where I need to defend myself, or I need to, protect myself or protect my friends and family, is when I got there. But for me, it was just about, just finding your crew and finding your people.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's what I love about the movies. Like, there's like one scene that we see with Terry and his father, but it's like these 10 seconds that make you
You could
aware
tell,
that
tells you
you're
everything.
having a great life at home. Yeah.
When I first read the script, I was like, the first scene, with the gas station scene, when I asked him to buy me the beer, I was like, wow. I was like, this kid just said no. Like, I would have just been like, okay, on to the next person. And I'm like, this
Yeah,
kid,
yeah.
I'm like, why is he like so harsh? And then kept reading the script, and you see what happens, and like you said, like, in reading that one page of a scene, it tells you so much you need to know about this character.
Now that I think about it, the next person that came was
Would have
Laurie.
been James. Yeah, it would have been James. I don't know if that would have ended well, honest. That might have ended worse. It might have been better off that it was Corey.
Yeah, right, right. But speaking of Laurie, because after rewatching the entire trilogy from David Gordon Green, I remembered that Laurie and Karen had completely different ways of how to raise their daughters.
Hmm.
So while Laurie tried to prepare Karen for the worst in life, for Michael Myers and people like
Just
Michael
come
Myers
back,
for
right?
his return. So Karen was like, she wanted to protect Allison from all these gruesome stories in order to allow her to have like a normal childhood. So I was wondering, what would you say prepared you best for life as a young adult?
Oh, I think definitely my parents and my brothers. I'm the youngest of two brothers. I'm the youngest of three. I have two older brothers. And I think it was just having, four great role models. And then, as well as my brother's wife, they've been together dating for almost 8 years. So, having just a lot of people in my life to look up to and to have as guidance, and to have as, you know, talk to if I need advice or anything. And it's just, the ability to just have so many different voices and have all these people, different views. I get my dad and my mom who live in one era, and I can talk to my brothers about it who understand, closer in my age and understand this type of era. And I think that is what it was for me, just understanding life came from my family and my friends, even just having support. I think that was the best thing that I'm most blessed for. I have had so many people help me and push me and be a boost of confidence and a look of advice and a look of guidance to me.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there are like so many deep dialogues in this movie. When I met Jamie Lee for this, I had like such a huge list of like dialogues that I was like, who inspired questions, I'm like, and I love that, because obviously she writes a book in this movie, and she tells you a lot, and one thing she says early on is like, Michael Myers took our dreams and turned them into nightmares.
Yeah.
And then this is something that can happen even without an evil force like Michael Myers, where you are like chasing your dream, and for whatever reason your dream turns into a little nightmare. And I was wondering if that's something you can relate to, as an actor.
Yeah, I think whenever you take on a profession like acting, where it's an extremely hard business, it's not easy, and you can ask anyone who's in this business knows it's not easy. It's the hardest part is the waiting, and the waiting for that one break, that one moment. And I think for me, I've had a lot of people supporting me, and I've had a lot of people telling me, you're gonna do it, you're gonna get it. I have a great agent and manager pushing for me as well. I think for me, a lot of times I would get asked when I was younger and I was in middle school, they'd be like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would say an actor, because I knew from young, this is what I wanted to do. And a lot of time people would ask me, okay, like, what's your backup plan? And when I was younger, I kind of would always just say, like, I don't have a backup plan. I don't have a plan B, because for me, it's, if I have a plan B, that means I see myself as failing in this, and I could see myself as this ability that, all right, if I'm planning for something else, that means I, in my mind, am doubting myself. I think that, okay, there's a chance I might not get this. And, for me, I just felt like the best case for my mindset was, this is me. I don't want a plan B. I want plan A, and that's all I'm going to worry about. I never really had people tell me I can't do something or I shouldn't do something. I always had people question as if this is the thing that you should do. And I think for me is when I know I want something, I know what I want. And I've known I wanted this since I was 10 years old. So for me, it was just a lot of understanding myself and trusting myself and believing in myself.
That's so great what you say, because I remember Natalie Dormer saying, like, if you have a plan B, you probably end up having that. So like, really, if you like having plan A is like the only option, you're really chasing that one, right?
Yeah, and that's how it always has been for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And it's how it should be, in my opinion. Yeah.
I'm you have a dream, you chase it. You don't let anyone or anything stop you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what's so sad is that a lot of people are like, it's unreachable anyway. There are so many out there. But you can also be the one, right?
So. Yeah, no, I remember when I was in high school, and one of my acting teachers, he was like, oh, I walked in, I did an audition like recently, the day, like a couple of days before that, and I walked in feeling down about myself. My teacher was like, oh, I was like, no, I'm not gonna get this. And he was like, oh, you didn't do well? I was like, no, I think I did really well. I was like, I just read the character description. I'm like, that's not me. Like, this is not what it kind of, and it's something that he's said to me that kind of like stays with me. And he was like, why not? He was like, why not you? And I think it's kind of like every time I have an audition now, I kind of remember that saying. It's like, why not me? Well, why can't it be me? There is no reason. So it's kind of like, just have that mindset that it may not be you, but there's no reason why it can't be.
Absolutely. And speaking of mindset, another line from Laurie goes like, because when she describes fear as an emotion, she asks the question, am I in control, or do the elements control me? So I was wondering, whenever you were about to lose control out of fear, whatever might have caused that fear, how did you make sure you keep that control, or that you get it back again?
Yeah, music for me, definitely. I think I would all like, my friends used to kind of make fun of me in high school about it. I would have my headphones in my ears every second of every day.
Oh, really?
Like, there wasn't a second. I used to have a class, on my 6th floor of my high school.
Yeah.
Literally right next to each other after pier. I would come out a door, make a left, and go in the next door. And it'd be all over maybe a 2-second walk. And I would put my headphones in for those 2 seconds. And I'd try to get as much music as possible in my ears. And I think for me, it kind of is always just kind of like allow me to escape reality and just like get out of the world. And anything that's stressing me out, I kind of just like, I put my headphones in and I'm in my own world. And I think for me, it's kind of just my scapegoat, my ability to just get out of everywhere. Anything that's stressing me out or that's frustrating. And I think for me also, but something I love to do is go for walks. Living in New York City, I live in downtown Manhattan, so there's a lot of nice walks around here you could do. So I think for me, like,
Yeah.
you know, if I'm ever feeling like I'm getting really angry about stuff or stressed out, or I'm just, you know, breaking down, and I just put my headphones in and I go for a walk. It's kind of just my relaxation.
Right. Awesome. And Michael, for my last question, I would like to pick up a scene from the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
It's actually one, you know, the one where Laurie goes into the shop and she meets Frank in there. And it's so nice because in that, you know, it's only 2 minutes, but in these 2 minutes, she's able to forget like everything that Michael Myers did to her and everything that happened to her in the past. So she leaves that shop with like a huge smile on her face. And then obviously what waits outdoor is another woman who like asks her, why are you smiling? Look at my sister, her husband is dead and she cannot even talk anymore.
Right.
And that's the moment where Laurie loses her smile again because she feels guilty in a way. Because obviously that woman will most likely never be able to have these 2 minutes because of her physical condition that Michael Myers did to her. So she will remember what he did to her in every single second because her not being able to talk will remind her of that and everything. And so I was wondering if you ever felt guilty for being happy, even though you absolutely deserved that smile on your face.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's so my brother is an actor as well, and my best friend's an actor as well. And you know, it's always a situation of like with my brother, I'm an actor because of him. Like if it wasn't for him, I would have never got into this business. So I think, you know, it's always about, you know, just remembering for me every time I get a role that it is because of him, you know, and it is for his ability. And, you know, times where if, you know, he helps me with every single audition I do. And it's just, you know, having the ability to really like remind myself like, you know, that everything I get and I do is because of him, as one of the people who helped me. And then one time I'll never forget is it was my best friend from high school, and we still keep in touch and we're still good actors. We still act. And we were auditioning for a role together. And it was just, you know, at the end of the day, I remember thinking like, if it can't be me, it's him. And he felt the same way. If it can't be him, it's me. And it was just like, and I think that helps me rather than hurts me. I think it's like knowing that I had that support, knowing that I had these people that just, you know, are love and care about this passion and have passion for this business as much as I do, is just, it's a breath of fresh air. And I think, you know, I try to not ever feel guilty about like something like that, but you know, there's times where you can't help yourself. You know, you just feel like you want to just grab someone and hug them and be like, listen, I'm sorry. It's a hard feeling. It really is. It's a feeling that I don't think is easy to describe. And for me, I think I remember like specifically with my best friend, we always told each other like, you know, got your back till the end. And that's what it is. Yeah, you got your back till the end. You know, and I'm always happy for someone, you know, that's me. I always like to try to spread happiness and just preach that, because you know, it's what we need in this world. And I think for me, that's kind of been something that's very like I'm proud of. It's just, you know, I always want people to succeed, especially those who are close to me. I've always want those people to get what they want. And
absolutely,
you know, I always just feel like I always hope that the feeling is likewise.
Absolutely. Seriously, Michael, I want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And I mean, you don't have to be afraid of Michael Myers this Halloween because you're Michael yourself, right? So.
Yeah. I think us having the same name might get me off the hook.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously, Michael, you have a great day and see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise.